Okay, so last class I was just showing about if conditions, right? So in the if condition, we saw if and else. That is, if you can have a condition where if you want to do something, then we used to call it as if, and we will give a statement. And in case if if the condition fails, then you can give a else and you can proceed. So that is what more from the condition that we can give. But there are some scenarios where you can have something where the same code has to be repeated again several times. Now, an example would be, what if I ask to print your name 10 times? That's one simple thing. Now, the same thing, if you take, I want you to do a count for some time, or I want you to go through some content again. So there could be many scenarios. Say, for example, I want you to connect to a server. How will you do? But if it is the same thing, I'm asking you to connect 10 servers, it's the same activity that you're doing. So whenever there's a scenario where you have to repetitively do the same set of tasks, then what is that we have to do? So that is when we have something called as loops in Perl, wherein for a loop, just like how we had the if condition. So what do we do before if condition? We used to give a condition, and if the condition passes, then we will go through a block of statement and we will proceed further. In case if the condition fails, then we will never go through the block of statement. Right? Now it's slightly different, but the concept is the same, wherein if it is a loop, you give a condition, so it will go to the condition, and if the condition is true, then whatever the block of code or the statements that you have given, it will execute. But since it's a loop, after completing the block of statement, it will once again come back to the same condition. That means you are once again starting from the beginning, not the complete script, but only to the condition. So now, when it comes back to the condition, if the condition is true again, then it will once again go through the code. And after completing the code, it will come back to the condition again and it will check. So like this, until the condition is failing, the block of statements will be repetitively executed. So that is when you will get iterations of the same code getting executed again and again. So we have to write the code in such a way that the condition passes for the number of time that you want the block of code to be executed. So that means, say, if you want your name to be printed 10 times, you have to give a condition in such a way that until the 10 times the condition is true, and when it's true, it will go through the block of statement and it will try to run and come back to the condition. So after the 10th run, when the condition is checked, it should be false. So only then it will not go to the code that it has for that condition, and it will proceed further. So like this, using loops, we can execute the same code for a known number of times. Now, how do you do that? So when you do it, there are a couple of ways of executing that. Okay. Now, quite popular and the useful ones are while loop and for loop, wherein what while loop does is, as we know, it's exactly same as if condition, but the name will be changed. Wherein for a while, you will give a condition, and very first thing that Perl does is it will check for the condition, and if the condition is true, it will go through the block of statement, and after completing, it will once again go back to the condition to check, and the process keeps on going until the condition is failed. Okay. Now, this is the syntax of how you will be using while. That is, you will use a statement of while, and then you will be giving a condition, and for this while loop you will have to open a flower bracket, close a flower bracket, and give list of all the code whatever that you have to write. Okay, so what will happen is, when the Perl comes here, for the first time it will check for the condition. If the condition is true, only then it will come here and execute whatever you have done. And after it has completed the execution of all the lines that you have between this, it will not go proceed further. It will once again go back to the same first point. That is why it is called as while. So then once again it will check the condition. If the condition is true, then it will come back and whatever you have between this will get executed. And once it is done, once again it will go back. Now it will keep on going until the condition is failing. If the condition doesn't fail, then this will go into a infinite loop. Okay, so we have to write a condition in such a way that it goes through only certain point of time, and then whenever you have the scenario where it doesn't have to proceed, then the condition should fail. Then when the condition is failed, it will not come here. It will directly come to the last line and it will proceed with the other set of code that you have. Okay, so this is the difference between if and loop, wherein while executes the same code again and again. Now, let's try to take an example and see how it works. So now here, okay, so now I'll say I'll give one number. So I'm just writing a condition. Now I'm creating a scalar variable with value 0 and I'm saying while $a is what less than or equal to 10, what do I need to do? I need to print something. Okay, that is what I need. So basically what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to print something 10 times. Okay, so I'll say print Adam. Okay, so what is this? I'm creating a condition or a loop where first it will come here, it will check for the condition, and if the condition is true, then it will come here and it will execute. Okay, and then at the end I'm just saying end of script. Okay, so okay, now let us run this. Okay, what's happening? So it's on a infinite loop. What do you mean? It means it keeps on running. So the reason here what it is happening is we have not given the statement in such a way that the condition fails. So it keeps on running. So I'm just doing a control C to stop it. Okay, so that is because, so if you come here, I have assigned $a is 0. It will come while a is less than or equal to 10. Yes, 0 is less than 10. So the condition is true. So it will come here and it will print. After it prints, since it's a while loop, the control will go back here and then once again the condition is checked. So now a is less than or equal to 10. Yes, it's 0 is less than equal to 10. So now like this, every time it is checking a is less than equal to 10. So that is why the condition is always true and it keeps on printing the command or whatever that you have given. It never comes to this part. That is why it is called as infinite loop. So now how do you make it to fail the condition? Now my requirement is I need to go through the loop for 10 times, but not beyond it because that is what my condition is, right? But here it is not working because whenever the while is true, that is the condition is true, then whatever block of statements is getting executed. So that is why I mentioned that when you're writing while loop, we have to take care in such a way that after the specified number of runs, the iteration should stop. Now, to do that, what if we do one thing? Now, if you see, I have a variable called a and that value is 0. What if I keep incrementing this value of a so that every time if it goes through, let us add one value to it so that as it keeps adding up, like for the first time when it goes, we will add one value to it. If it goes through it second time, we will add one more. So like this, every time if we keep doing it, the value of a will also be getting increased, right? So finally, at some point of time, a will be 10 and then a will become 11. So when it becomes 11, a is not less than or equal to 10. So the condition will fail, right? So how to do that? So yesterday, if you remember, we saw that we can add a number. So simply, if we say this much, so if I say $a equal to $a plus 1, what will happen? Now, if I do this, what will happen? First, $a equal to 0. Okay, and then the while condition will come. Here, what is that you are checking? You are checking is 0 less than equal to 10. Yeah, since it is finding, it will do a print, and after it prints, what it will do? $a equal to $a plus 1. So what does that mean? Anything on the right hand side will get evaluated and then that value will be put on the left hand side, right? So in that case, we have $a on the left hand side, and the right hand side, what do you have? $a plus 1. So what is the value of $a? 0. 0 plus 1, that will be 0, right? Sorry, 1. So now what is the value of a? A has become 1, right? So now when it comes here, it will go back to the condition once again. So it goes back to the condition, but the value of a is now 1. So now 1 is less than equal to 10. Yes.
Yes.
So then what will happen? It will once again print, and now here $a equal to $a plus 1. So $a equal to, what is $a now? 1. 1 plus 1 plus 1. So what will be the value? 2. So what is the value of $a? 2. So then it comes here. Then it will once again go back to the while. And now it will once again check what is the value of a now? 2. So 2 less than equal to 10? Yes. Okay. Then it will say print. And now once again it will try to add. So now what will be the value of a? $a plus 1. So that is 2 plus 1. So it will be 3. So like this, it will be keep on incrementing. Now, at some point of time, the value of a will be 10. Okay. So when it is 10, or like let's take when it is 9, what it will happen? It will be 9. Okay. And less than equal to 10. Yes, it will be. Then it will print. Okay. And then $a will be equal to 10, 9 plus 1, that will be 10. And then once again it comes, you will do a check, is 10 less than equal to 10? Yes, you will print. And then when you do 10 plus 1, 11, right? Now when it comes here, a is 11. So 11 less than or equal to 10? No. Then the condition is failed. So it will never go here. It will come and run this next lines of code. So now exactly if you see how many times you have printed, you would have printed 10 times. So based on your need, you have to put a condition like this so that you can internally increment a number or make sure that the condition fails, and then you can stop it. Okay, so now let's try the same thing and see whether it is going to give us the output. Okay, you see it printed 10 times. I can simply add one number to this. Uh, I'll say $E. What happened? So it's getting printed exactly how many times? 11 times. So how do you make sure that it is not printing 11 times? So then you can just increase the number already to 1 so that it will never go to 10. Okay, so now you have exactly 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you want the exact numbers also to start from 1, then copy this. I'm just trying to print the number before it is incremented, because right now you saw it's 2 because it's printing after addition. That is why it is showing from 2. Now if you run, it will print before incrementing the number. Getting it?
Yeah.
The same thing now you can do with decrement also. Like I can put the number as 10, and then here I can say $A equal to $A minus 1,
Dollar
so
A
that
minus one.
yeah, it will start decrementing in the reverse order. Okay, so like this you can put up any condition that you want, but make sure this is one of the way. Now if not, you can ask the user to enter, and if the user enters yes or no, then you can do it. So that could be one more condition. Say for example, we'll write one more. Now I'll say string equal to s. Okay, so now we'll say while. Okay, let's do a string comparison. So how do you do a string comparison? We saw if it is string, then we will say eq, right? Okay, now if string equal to s, then you try to run something. Okay, so print. Now I'll ask the user, do you want to rerun this? Okay, and now let's ask the user to enter a value. Okay, so that's why I'm not going to give a slash n. So how do you take a user value from user? So I'll say now the same thing, $str equal to stdin. So I'm just getting it from user. Okay, and since it's getting from the user, we need to chomp it because there will be a slash n character. So when you're checking here, it would not check. Okay, so now what will happen? It will try to come here, and if it is equal to s, then it will allow you. And if you enter any value which is not s, then it will come out. It will not proceed further. Okay, there's some syntax error. Line 18. Mhm. Okay, here. Okay. So it's now asking, do you want to rerun this? If I say yes, it'll ask. And if I say anything else other than yes, then it's gonna come out. Okay, so like this, you can give any condition, but what happens in while is if the condition is true, it keeps on running whatever that you have given between the block of statements from beginning this to ending this. Now it is we who have to make sure that whatever way the condition that we want to check should fail only for a specific time. So until then, the condition should be passed. Getting it?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Now, if you saw, while was something wherein you give a condition. That is, first it checks for the condition and then it goes through the condition, and based on the condition, if it is true or false, it will proceed further and execute. But now, sometimes you might not have a condition. Okay, but you know that a specific list of values, and against that values if you want to do, then you can do. Say for example, you know that you are not running through a condition, but you know that there is a specific number of times that you want to go based on some list of values. Say for example, now I said, um, I want you to do something against 10 servers. Okay, so I have a list of 10 values or the 10 servers name, and I want to go through that only for that name of the servers. That means now how many other names I have, then I have to do that many number of times. That means you have some list of values, and based on the list of values, it should be doing it. So for those kind of scenarios, while will not be suitable, because for while you need a condition, but instead of condition, if you have a list of values, then you will use another kind of loop called as for each. Okay, and the syntax for that will be, you will say for each. Okay, and then instead of the condition here, you will say the list is nothing but whatever values that you have. So the difference between while and for each is, for each will execute whatever that you are giving within this block of statements based on how many values that you are giving. Like I said, if you have 10 servers, so you just give the 10 server names here. Now what will for each do is, it will take each value that you have given. So since you have given 10 separate values, the iteration or the block of statements will get executed 10 times. Suppose if you give two values here, it doesn't matter what value, you give some values, then if you give how many ever values, that many times the for each will get executed. Okay, now for example, if you see, how do you pass the values? One of the way that I can do is, I can just say a space separated value directly like this. So for example, if I say for each, okay, if I say 1 2 3, now what will happen is, so whatever that you do here, print hello something. Now what will happen? This print hello will get executed three times because you have three values here. Okay, so that is how for each works. So if you give any junk value here, anything, it doesn't matter. What it happens is, if you have a space separated, then it will take that there are four values here. So the iteration should happen four times, and whatever that you're giving will go through four times. But if you see, why is that I have to give some junk values? There should be some specific meaning. For an example, I said I have 10 servers and I want to do something with that 10 servers, or I have to connect with the 10 servers, right? So whatever names or values that you're giving, say for example, I give server 1, server 2, server 3, server 4. Like this I give. Now, ideally, I choose these kind of for each only when I have a specific values and I want to go through all these values and do something. Then, whatever block of statement that you're using should be able to get these values one by one. That is the actual use. Now, in that case, if you see, I said for every value, the for each will execute this. So, if you want to do something with this value, like this is a server, I want to connect to the server. So in order to do that, you need to pass this value to this particular block of statement. So what exactly Perl does is every time you run it, it will be picking this value and it will be using it inside. But we are not using it here. So in order to make it use, what we have to do is we have to assign a variable or a scalar variable here. So what will happen is now how for each will do is for the first time when it comes here, it will assign dollar variable equal to this value. Okay, so when it comes here, if you use this dollar variable here, what it will do that for the first iteration or the first value, it will print hello S1. Once it's complete, then it will go again to this for each. Now this value is done, so it will pick up the next value. So when it is picking up the next value, $var will be S2. So then it will come here, it will print. When it is printing, it will say hello where, and what is that? S2. So hello S2. Then it will complete. After completing, it will go here, wherein this is done, it will pick the next value. When it is picking up this, it will assign this variable with this value. Okay, and then it will come here. Then it will run this. Now it will be hello S3. And then it's finished. It will go back. It will pick the next value. When it is picking up this value, it will assign this variable. So like this, for every iteration, for each will take one value and it will assign the value to that variable that you're creating, so that within this block of statement you can make use of that variable and do, because that was the actual need, as I said, wherein now if I have 10 servers, simply I can do some command here like say SSH to that server. So if I do like this, what will happen? Every time it runs, it will try to take the server and it will try to connect. So like this, you can make use of the values one by one by assigning it to a variable. Okay, so that is the purpose of this variable that we have. So now whatever values that you have given, only that many times it will go. Now if you have given 10 values, it will go through 10 times, and further it will not go because there is no new values. But for every iteration or every value that it takes, it will assign that value to the variable here, and that value will be known or available until it executes the complete thing here. Okay, because as soon as it completes, it will pick up the next value. So that is how you can make use of for each to go through a specific set of values. Okay, so let's try the same thing. Now, okay, now here, let us write one. So now, one thing is you can store a values directly. If not, we know that we can store multiple values using an array, correct? So I will say what okay, say I'll say names, Adam and Akash, Ravi, okay, and say Pavan and Raina. Okay, now this is done. Now we'll say for each. Okay, so here I will say dollar what? I'll say first name. That is my variable. And here simply I'll say names. Now what will happen? Wherever you say names, it will get the complete values, right? So how many values are there? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So everything will come here. And then for each value, it will assign that value to this variable and you can use this. Okay. I'll say hello. Okay. Getting it? So instead of writing every name here, I have stored it into array and I'm using that array because that is what we will be doing as a program. You will be storing some values into something and you will be exactly taking that as in list and you will be working. So now if you see whatever values that you will have, it will come here. And when the first time it runs, it will take f or the dollar $f name as this value, and then it will come here. And when it is coming here, it will try to execute this. And when it is executing, it will say hello, whatever value. So first time you will have Adam. So it will say hello, Adam. It completes and it will once again go back to the condition. But here there is no condition but the list, and you have completed with the first value. Then in the list it will take the second value and it will assign it to this variable. And then when it is executing, you are saying hello $f name, wherein $f name now is Akash. So it will print hello Akash. It will complete. It will once again go to the list. It will pick this value and it will assign, and like this it will print all the names that you have here, and it will do only that many times based on how many ever values that you have. Okay, so let's try that. Okay, it's asking do you want to continue. I'll say no. So then you see what happens. Did you get this?
Yeah.
So the major difference between while loop and for each is while will have a condition, and in the condition, if it is success, it will go through whatever statements that you have given and it will execute. And once it's completed, it will come back to the condition and check whether it is true or not. So it will go on until the condition is true or false. But if you don't have a condition, but you know a list of values against which you want to do this iteration, or you want to do something with a list of values repetitively. So you can make use of for each, wherein it will take the list of values and it will go through the iteration based on how many other values you have given. Wherein if you want to use the value within this iteration, then you assign a variable so that for each time that it goes through a value, it will assign that to the variable and you can make use of that variable within the block of statements. Okay.